Hello everybody, I'm Marty. Welcome to my channel. It's nice to see y'all. Today's topic, tech. Old school tech. We're taking a 15-year-old desktop that's been sitting around in a barn for years and seeing what we can do with it. First of all, starting with motherboard hardware troubleshooting. So let's get back into the lab and get right to it. So, check this old thing out. Pretty badass, huh? This computer is actually like 15 years old or something like that. It's got an old Asus MR32 MVP motherboard. And in its heyday, this thing was the shit. If we wander back here, we've got tons of fans everywhere because that was just what you did. As you loaded up your PC with as many fans as possible. Look at that 1394 Firewire right there. Ooh, look at our awesome analog audio setup right here. Ooh, look at these DVD recorders. Yeah, fan speed controllers. How is this thing gonna hold up? I don't even know what kind of memory's in here. It's got really good memory, but I bet you it's only 4 gigs. 4 1 gigabyte sticks, DDR2. So I can't even upgrade it to anything better. I'm gonna plug this thing in and fire it up. Okay, here we go. We're plugged in. All right, our PSU is on. We got power to our motherboard. So far, so good. Let's see what happens when we hit the power button. Oh no! It's not happy with us. Pissed. We got the beep. We got the beep. The post beep. Well, this means we're gonna have to start unplugging some shit. Okay, so I've removed the video card, nothing else, just to see if the video card was causing a problem. I'm gonna turn it back on. I'm thinking it's memory, so I'm gonna start plugging memory cards. Remember those? Good old 800 megahertz front side bus. That's hilarious. Remember when that was the shit? Same sound. I'm just going to keep plugging memory until it posts. I threw the video card back in there because, you know, I don't think that's actually a problem. Keep trying shit. There's only 1 stick of RAM left in there. And I don't think it's going to post. Maybe the video card is fucked. So this time, I put the 2 original sticks of RAM back in there because I pretty much took them all out and the machine still failed to post. So I'm going to now try another video card which was working at one time. Hey, it was the video card. Ha! So that sucks. Well, that means that video card is trash. It did have mouse turds in it. Let's start Windows normally and see what we got. Oh yeah, buddy. Let me tell you. Windows XP 64. Don't! I don't fucking know. This isn't my computer. Hey, but at least we figured out what the problem was and how to go about troubleshooting motherboard issues. It's usually memory or GPU. That way, you'll be able to isolate the problem. So we got some work to do on this one. We're going to turn this old piece of shit into a miner. It's got 4 PCI slots and a 1000-watt power supply, so I think it can get the job done if we can get 4 working GPUs. We know we have 1. Hey, so we're back here. There was a really long Windows update since this thing hadn't been turned on in about 5, 6 years, who knows, 10 years. Now I know the password. I contacted the owner of the computer, so we're good to go. Really? That's what you say, Giorgio. He says that the case is cluttered full of technology, so what we got to do now is remove everything that's unnecessary. Okay, so now I've got all the drives gutted out of the case. I put all the memory sticks back in because I'm pretty sure, even though I was an idiot that first thought it was the GPU that was fine, the memory was bad, I was completely wrong. And we're just going to go ahead and throw some new GPUs in here and hope to God that Windows XP 64 has driver support for them. The first thing we're going to do is chuck a a 500 gigabyte solid state drive and hope that this 1 terabyte drive does not have more than 500 gigabytes of data on it. And then we are going to put this in there. We bought up a few of the last. Alright, so I've got the hard drive pulled out. It's still connected. I've installed a solid state drive, and I have it connected to a proprietary wire called the SATA wire. It's required. It won't work without it. Okay, and we're in. Oh yeah, the old Athlon 64X2 dual core processor. This is a good processor. This actually stood the test of time. I think this is going to be a winner for us. We're not even going to have to reinstall Windows or anything. As you can see here, NVIDIA card that I used for a test device would not be suitable for mining, as it's only 512 megabytes. Great test device. We might just leave it in there until we get this thing stabilized. In order for Clone Disk to make a clone of a hard drive, it has to be the same size or less. So I pulled up here the old disk management in Windows XP here, and you can see that even though we have a 1 terabyte drive, that he originally set it up as only a 500 gigabyte drive, leaving the other 500 gigabytes completely unallocated. So we're pretty much good to go. In addition to this, he only has 12 or 13, 12 and a half gigabytes used up, so it's going to be a pretty quick clone, and this is going to run pretty good with a solid state in it. We've got the EasyGig software downloaded now. So there's the EasyGig software. It'll do its thing, you accept, blah 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 blah. Let's get started. Okay, and it'll automatically recognize your drives. Pick the drive that you want to copy, and then hit next. Then pick the one you want to save. Hit next again. It'll do some stuff. Hit next again. Just default. Start clone will say, are you sure? You say yeah. It'll say, are you sure that you're sure? Okay, no, that's it. And then it starts. I would only anticipate this one to take about 15 minutes, but they could take up to an hour. We are back, and the Easy Clone software is done in about 15 minutes as I predicted. There's the Windows stuff. We don't need to look at that right now. You can just quit this. So at this point, you can go ahead and shut down the computer and hook up the SSD and boot to it. What we're going to do now that it's off is just go ahead and disassemble everything and hook up the SSD and get this other hard drive out of here and fire it up again. Question of the day, is it going to load Windows on the SSD? The SSD is hooked up, and there it goes. We're just going to make sure everything boots up without the original hard drive. And when it does, we'll shut it on back down again and get some real graphics cards in here, because this turd is not going to mine very well for us. If the new graphics cards don't work out, well, we'll put this one back in here and just turn it into an old school gaming machine. So the question of the day is, will a brand new RX 580 work in a 15-year-old motherboard? What's it gonna do? Let's find out. These things are pretty sweet. I don't know if there's going to be enough room on this bastard. There's a big old freaking chipset heatsink that's right in the way. And yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to try the other one here. Wow, that takes up a heap of room on this motherboard. Man. So, yeah, couldn't put it in the original one because not only did it cover the wire, it actually kind of smashed the wire to the fan. And it was riding right up against that chipset heatsink. So I had to put it in this slot right here. So there was a little hang up here, something I didn't quite expect. This is not going to work in this. As you can see, the 4 pins that should be by this here on the long pin are simply missing. Screw it. This thing will never ever power a display as long as it's ours. Just gonna put the caps back on there, call it a day. So those are hooked up. I'm gonna disconnect my ground and power it up. Well, okay, so the Sapphire's got power. Totally needs the drivers, doesn't even recognize it. I'll have to go ahead and install the latest drivers. This computer is so old. Pretty sure it's not even recognizing I suppose the next step would be to go into the BIOS and update the BIOS, because I completely spaced that. Time to go update the BIOS. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Dunno. I'm actually just messing around with the PCI stuff to make sure that it's going to work. So let's give this a shot. Doesn't like that. That's the sound it made before when I had the additional driver in there. So we're going to have to go ahead and pull this video card. It's fine. It just really doesn't like the RX 580. So there's your answer. Our lesson is we enabled the BIOS to go ahead and use plug-and-play devices, and it just freaked out as soon as I turned that on and restarted the computer. This NVIDIA card that's running in here now is 512 megabytes. So what we're going to do with this old thing is just leave that card in there. It's a decent little card. And old gaming machine, nostalgic purposes. What else are you going to do with it? You know, I mean, old architecture. You can't put new architecture in it, except for the solid state drive. That was about the only upgrade we could really make to this computer that was beyond its time. The graphics cards just, well, I mean, come on, this is DDR5. I mean, are you kidding me? Compared to DDR3. All right, we got it all put back together. Couldn't mine with this old thing anyway. Turns out the only thing we were able to upgrade was the solid state hard drive and put a slightly newer optical drive in there. Nothing fancy. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to mine with it. It just wouldn't support the video cards. I'm sure it would have mined. It just wouldn't have done a decent job. And, you know, it would have taken forever and wouldn't have been worth the power consumption. But it is a gaming PC, so we'll use it as that, as a gaming PC.